Wow, the deal is official. The UFC has officially found a new network for the next 7 years. All about the deal between the UFC and Paramount in this video. Hello and welcome to Bloodsport MMA.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Guys, this is crazy. I was just chilling, open Instagram. First thing I see 2 minutes ago, Dana White just posted a little one-pager Instagram post. I thought the new announcement of the new TV rights will be a huge thing where they make a huge video announcement, this and that. But somehow, just like the fight announcements, they just do not give a anymore. They just put out a little statement, right? So I was like, I have to research this because this came so surprising to me. I have to be honest. I did not know what Paramount is. I heard the name before. I had no idea who they are, that they even have a streaming service and all of that. No idea. I thought it's for sure going to be a hybrid deal between Netflix and ESPN. And this is beyond surprising. Let's look into it, guys. So this is just crazy, right? So let's start here. So Paramount is somewhat CNBC. You Americans probably know that better than me. I don't really know that too much because it's not too prominent where I'm from in Europe. But actually, it's quite a big company. I've never heard of Paramount Plus before, but I just checked it out. They have some fun movies and all of that. But this comes very surprising. No one ever talked about Paramount. The talks were always about Netflix, about ESPN. I think there was something else. I think Amazon was even in the talks and stuff like that. No one ever mentioned Paramount. That comes so surprising. And 7 years. ESPN was 5 years as far as I remember. 7 years. That's insane. A 7-year deal and 7.7 billion. This is nuts. This is absolutely nuts. Just in comparison, back in 2018, when they made the 5-year deal with ESPN, the deal was 1.5 million over 5 years. 1.5 million overall. Now you have 1.1 million per year. This is crazy work. This just shows you how much the sport has grown ever since the whole pandemic and all of that. This is nuts. And this is really surprising me. Paramount has acquired the US rights to TKO Group's UFC for over 7 years beginning in 2026. So only US rights. So as far as I see it, it will still be that, for example, in the UK, I think it's still TNT and all of that has the rights to the events. This is just the US. I hope at least, because I saw Paramount also exists where I'm from. And I always was able to watch the UFC events quite cheap on the UFC Fight Pass app because ESPN doesn't exist where I'm from, so they never had any solution. I hope it's still the same for me. The agreement is for all 43 annual UFC live events, which will be exclusively streamed in the US on Paramount. This is crazy. All the events, I thought for sure they will do it like their friend in the TKO group, the WWE, and have several networks for several different shows. Let's say maybe Contender Series on ESPN, pay-per-views on Netflix, Fight Night somewhere else. Like, you know what I mean? Split up a little bit to expose it more. It's very surprising to me that all events will be on freaking Paramount Plus. I've never heard that shit before. Paramount Plus. And I googled it, I think MTV and all those things belong to this. But isn't CNBC like one of those networks that like the Republicans have like beef with and Dana White and stuff like that? Am I tripping? Maybe I'm just not educated enough in the American stuff. But this is crazy. And the craziest thing is, there will be no more pay-per-views. The new Paramount deal will eliminate the pay-per-view model used by ESPN in its current deal with the UFC, making all events available for no extra charge on Paramount Plus. Now, I don't know how expensive exactly Paramount Plus is. I wonder if it says that here. $12.99 a month. That's a very fair deal. That's a very fair deal. For $12.99 a month, you can watch UFC. How are they even gonna name the big events now? It's not a pay-per-view anymore. How are they gonna name them? Just the number UFC 319? It's kind of weird. It's still a pay-per-view event for me. That's just the name of it for me now. But this is crazy because they have been on the pay-per-view model since forever. this is monumental that they get away from the pay-per-view model, right? But it's 100% time, because the time for pay-per-views is just over. And you saw it coming a little bit because the UFC was very unhappy with the pay-per-view numbers they generated, and the ESPN as well were very unhappy with the pay-per-view numbers recently. They didn't sell it in pay-per-views anymore because no one wants to pay they kept raising the prices. Well, no one pays $70 to watch a freaking UFC event. Not even me, as the biggest UFC freak ever. I'm gonna be like, why should I pay $70 to watch that event on TV? And I also need ESPN Plus for like $15 a month or something like that to watch the premiums. Like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? So it was about time. But what will be interesting now is how are they going to do it? And I didn't even read the whole thing. I just thought I have to do a video about it. Maybe they didn't say it here. But how will they do it with the fighters? The biggest incentive for UFC champions is pay-per-view money. They get a percentage of the pay-per-view. That's normally where they make their big money. Because normally when they become a champion, their base contract does not change that much. The big change is the pay-per-view that they get, the percentage of the pay-per-view. How will they do that now? Will they just pay the UFC fighters, the champions, more? Will they have a different strategy? Like, how are they gonna reward the champions? And this is really interesting to me. This is a big, big, big change in our industry. A very big change to the whole MMA world, and definitely to the UFC. As I said, since forever the UFC has been on pay-per-view. I don't know if they were ever not on pay-per-view. So yeah, this is absolutely nuts. And for Paramount, this is huge as well, because people like me, I've never really heard of Paramount Plus ever before. Now I'm into it. You know what I mean? Now I'm like, damn, they're my new friends now, because they were the UFC, and 7 years is a long ass deal, especially for exclusive rights. That's a huge deal. That's an absolutely huge deal, and 7.7 billion is absolutely nuts. Okay, interesting. TKO's leadership initially believed it would sell just the 30 fight nights, just as I mentioned, to Paramount, and the premium numbered events to another media partner, as I thought as well that they will split it up. Yeah, but they sold all 48 events, and this is really, really interesting. It also says that they want Paramount has exclusive negotiation window for each country's rights when they are up for renewals, or for example in the UK, when the UK's rights with TNT Sport, I think it is up, they will have the exclusive 30-day negotiation window. So it is possible that Paramount will take over globally for the UFC. It is possible. And very interesting that Mark Shapiro, the head of the TKO group, said the pay-per-view model is a thing of the past. What's on pay-per-view anymore? Boxing, movies on DirecTV. It's an outdated, antiquated model. So it was Paramount to us, forgive the pun, that's a good one, where it's one-stop shopping, especially for our younger fans in flyover states when they find out, wait, if I just sign up for Paramount, this is absolutely amazing. And very smart by them to realize that. What really surprised me is what they wrote here as well, that the WWE just signed a new deal with ESPN just a couple of weeks ago. So it's really surprising to me that now, when I read this, I thought they're going to go back to ESPN again. Because you have to see with ESPN, they have a whole setup. What you have to see is all those guys, Anthony Smith, all those guys that work in the analyst positions for the UFC. They work for ESPN. They are not working for the UFC necessarily. They're hired by ESPN. All those shows, good guy, bad guy, it's an ESPN show. What will happen now with all those things? That's really interesting to me, because 2026 is only a couple months away, and everything might change. Because, as I said, good guy, bad guy belongs to ESPN. Paramount can't just say, oh, we'll just take them and continue the show. Will the show just continue on ESPN and they just continue to talk about the UFC even though it's on Paramount? Will Anthony Smith and all those guys still be on TV? Because don't forget, when the UFC used to be on Fox, when ESPN came and took over, they did not take all the guys from Fox with them. Like Kenny Florian, for example, worked for UFC on Fox. He did not work for UFC and ESPN. So it is very possible that Paramount, that they pick their own people, like they pick some other fighters or something as analysts. It is possible. It would not be smart because those guys are already established in the positions, but this is very interesting. we will have a whole new variety of shows of the whole model will be different. How? Because I think they have quite a lot of saying in how the shows are made in terms of the pre-shows and all those things. This is very interesting. I'm really curious. I'm a guy that likes change, so this is cool for me. I'm looking very forward to it. I just hope they do not mess it up. I hope they're a good partner, and I really hope that, yeah, the program, the UFC product just gets better and better. What is your opinion about this whole thing? Write in the comments, like this video, guys, subscribe to the channel, would appreciate that. Check out the merch, bloodshop.net, link is in the bio. Stay bloody, you guys, and until the next one, bye-bye. Bloodsport out.